Okay, everybody, thank you so much for coming today. Snap into attention mode because this is one of the most fun topics to learn about. Not too much math, a lot of discussions. Just a quick reminder that because of Thanksgiving, this homework is only technically due on the Thursday after we get back from Thanksgiving break. However, we strongly recommend that you guys get the work done for this week by November 28th. It's not that much work, and it's better to get it done before you guys go off for Thanksgiving than worrying about it when you come back and you have finals to worry about. So.
And again, there's not going to be a technical article or a project this week. This is a purely literacy concept. So you don't have to worry about doing stuff for the technical track. And again, super strongly recommend you stay ahead of this and get this work done Thursday. Also, if you have any things that are still left over, maybe projects from earlier weeks that you didn't have time to get to, use Thanksgiving break. You don't want to be worrying about all of that during finals week, which is coming up pretty soon, or dead week, when you're prepping for your finals. So just try to stay on top of things.
Yeah. Okay, and without further ado, pass it off to Ankit and Anapreetha. Woo!
Okay, hi, I'm Anapreetha, and today we're going to talk to you about AI ethics. This is a slightly less technical topic, it's more literacy, like she said. Okay, so let's get started. To start off, we have a discussion question. So, what do you know about AI ethics, and do you think it's important, and why do you think it's important? So you guys can discuss amongst yourselves for a minute, and then we can get back. Okay, I think we should wrap this up now. Does anyone want to tell me what they think? We have candy for people who answer. Yeah.
I raised my hand before I thought about food. So AI ethics are important because within AI, you're taking a lot of data in, insane amounts of data, and that data comes from humans, and if data isn't stereotypes and other issues like that.
Yeah, that is what we're going to be talking about today. Anyone else? Oh, yeah, sorry.
Also, is there something like copyright issues too?
Yeah.
I remember seeing when AI takes off like artwork from the internet, there's like it doesn't really give credit to the artist. Right?
Yeah,
Generally.
exactly. Oh, yeah, before I forget, yeah, sorry, these are the attendance forms for today. Exactly. Yeah, it's exactly. Okay, does anyone still need the form? Yeah, so you guys made some really good points. That's the next thing we're going to talk about is some important terms that we're going to do. Yeah. These are stakes, generative AI, bias, IP and copyright, like you said, surveillance capitalism, deepfake, data rights. Yeah. So to start off, let's see, what is AI? Like what is it at its core? It's a set of technologies that allow computers to perform tasks that mimic human intelligence. So that includes many tasks like seeing and understanding, analyzing data, giving recommendations, problem solving, and even creativity. AI systems are designed to learn from experience, adapt to new situations, and improve over time without any explicit programming. So they're designed to learn on their own, basically. So as AI has been designed by humans, it learns from real life data. So AI systems can reflect and even amplify human biases in several ways. There are two main types of AI based on their capabilities. This is Narrow AI and Gen AI. Narrow AI or weak AI works on performing one specific task independently. So such a system is programmed to respond to like a particular fixed set of inputs. It can learn from data and make new decisions or predictions based on that data, but it can't actually create its own data. On the other hand, generative AI is a form of AI that can actually create something based on the information that you give it. So generative AI models are trained on a set of data and then they learn the underlying patterns in that data to generate new data. That kind of mirrors the training data set that you give it. So the next thing is a picture that shows a pretty stereotypical view of the world, and it's basically to portray bias. So does anyone know what bias is? Anyone want to tell me?
It's where anything is like inclined towards something more than another, when in reality there should be like equal distribution.
Yeah, exactly. So bias is basically preference to some specific outcome over other outcomes. And AI bias, which is also called machine learning bias or algorithm bias, refers to AI systems that produce biased results that reflect human biases within a society, like historical and social inequality. Bias can be found in initial training data, algorithm, or the predictions that the algorithm produces. When this bias goes unaddressed, it hinders people's ability to participate in economy and society, and it also reduces the AI's potential. Businesses can't benefit from systems that provide distorted results and foster mistrust among people of color, women, people with disabilities, the LGBTQ community, or like other marginalized groups that AI tends to be biased towards. So, an important example of bias in AI is in application tracking systems. For example, I don't know if you guys have heard about this, the Amazon AI research team had been building like a recruiting machine learning algorithm since 2014. It took care of reviewing applicants' resumes with the aim of intelligently optimizing the search for top candidates for like different jobs. But because of the biases that the machine learning model had, most ideal candidates were generated as men. So this shows that the tech industry had male dominance previously. It's basically because the data that they used, the training data, had predominantly men. So it just reflected that. So this data fed to the model was not advocating for gender equality. So Amazon stopped using the hiring algorithm after finding that it favored applicants based on words that you might find on male resumes. So like executed or captured. Not that they can't be found on women's resumes, but yeah, like maybe if you had some specific like women in computing or something like that, it may not reflect that because it's not. Yeah, it's like no, it's female, it's not male. Yeah, that was the bias. One more example is in healthcare. Underrepresented data of women or minority groups can skew predictive AI algorithms. So, computer-aided diagnosis, like CAD systems, have been found to return lower accuracy results for black patients than white patients. So here you can see the bias that since there's more data for white patients, it shows that it skews the results that way. Another example is Midjourney, which is an image generator, conducted a study of AI art generation, and it requested images of people in specialized professions. And after it got the results, it showed both younger and older people, but the older people were always men. So this shows that there's gender bias of the role of women in the workplace after a particular age. So these were some examples. After this, I have a discussion question. How can biases in AI systems arise, and what ethical challenges do they pose in fields like healthcare systems? So like basically the examples that we discussed before. You guys can discuss amongst yourselves and then get back. Older systems are still based on this. Historically, we have
Zero silence. They're still talking. Yeah. Be like them.
Be like that. Sorry.
Hope we got that on video.
Yeah. Oh, good thing the camera's focused on me. That's okay. Right?
Oh, conversation happening right there. Isn't that exciting? Right there.
No, I'm a self. Yeah, that's what it is. They're self. That's actually just like my family. Yeah. No. I'm just like sitting here. So I'm watching the thing. Oh, okay, alright. You shouldn't do it. Okay, so the thing with ACMS is because of the fact that they have like, they do all the classes, so they do like like for internship or like so I would recommend you to I was in research. Yeah, I'm actually in four. I'm trying to get ACMS is less competitive than like people who don't want to do CS. So don't. Yeah, like save yourself the trouble because the thing is you will not end up with any research further. I'm gonna get applying on the math department.
Okay, let's wrap this up. Does anyone want to share what they think?
Yes.
I'm gonna cold call on people. So either you willingly offer yourself up or I put you on the spot.
Take it from me, do not. Because of
Oh, I see your
friend
hand.
who wants to get in the seat.
Project. Sorry, you're
And
very.
because
it
he's
would,
pre-science like me,
like,
and he
in
can
like
take
systems,
semesters.
other systems beside the
And now he
examples,
doesn't
we talked about this
have
in
any
the early
resources
weeks.
from anything. It's not bad. I'm pretty sure. It's part of like the. I
Like
don't know
if
if it's
it
like
was
its own
in like
department.
insurance, like given like
Okay.
insurance, or
Okay, but
like,
then I think
I
the
don't know,
department's
like,
just really bad
you know,
because he told me they have
bank
no
or in a
resources at all.
justice system, like delivering like a verdict as
I wanna
opposed
ask
to
her.
jury, then any biases or like unequal judgment found within data sets, if it was like willingly put in by a human or just wasn't checked for those biases by a human, then the AI would just continue to spit out the same sort of biases.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Also in respect to like the system, right? In
Yeah.
respect to systems, I feel like a different socioeconomic standpoint or like a different, like, I guess, like there's a racial aspect to it as well. So if you have biases against those, then that would, if that's represented in the system, it would just keep perpetuating. So very good answer.
Yeah. Okay, you go first. Yeah.
So I also heard that the facial recognition technique is more, the facial recognition technique have higher rate of error when it is trying to recognize people with color, and it might comes from, because the training data, most of the training data they use is the picture of a white person, so that might be a bias when they're training the AI system.
Yeah, good point.
Alright, I said that in healthcare, if like a biased AI system may have lower accuracy for diagnosing certain conditions, and like especially in a hospital setting that's taking care of administration, it can reduce, we could like have variability in quality of care between different types of people.
Yeah. Good point. Anyone else? Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes if we overly focus on some specific group, like the AI, maybe focus on the white people's group or something, then they can generate some biased belief from that group. For example, some of the group might have some biased belief, like towards some other group, and which is ridiculous. And if they generate those kind of beliefs, then their treatment to the other group will be biased and will be unfair.
Yeah, okay. Good point.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else?
One last we have for the taken.
Okay, let's move on. These are some types and sources of biases. So hidden data bias, it's related to how data is culturally contextualized and correlated with some protected classes. So an example would be a facial recognition system, like you said. The algorithm struggles to accurately identify people of darker skin tones because there's overrepresentation of lighter skinned individuals in the training data set. Then the second type is differing amounts of data, which is basically when we have less data than we need for certain classes. And an example could be a voice recognition software that shows lower accuracy for users with strong regional accents because most of the training data consists of standard accent speakers, like say an American accent or a British accent. Then the third one is quantifiability of features. So that's the idea that some features are easier to quantify. An example is an AI credit scoring system, which is less effective at assessing creditworthiness for people with unconventional financial histories, as traditional financial behaviors are more easily quantified, and so they're overrepresented in the data. The next thing is a feedback loop. So in this, a data acts as evidence to collect more of itself. I think that is kind of on the lines of what you were saying, right? So for an example for this that I am saying, I have is that an online job platform which continuously refines its algorithms based on user interactions. So that creates like a loop where popular jobs become more prominent and then less popular jobs, which are still relevant. They're just like not seen as much. Next thing is malicious data dockering, when bad actors taint the training data. So that's when a competitor intentionally submits false product reviews. Suppose there's an AI-driven recommendation system, so if another competitor submits false product reviews, then the algorithm is skewed to favor their products over others. Okay. Are there any questions? Let's move on. So what are the stakes? AI is increasingly being used to allocate resources and represent the world. But these can lead to some harms, which are called harms of allocation. So these occur when AI systems unfairly distribute opportunities or resources among different groups. These harms are usually immediate and easily quantifiable, and they're discrete and transactional in nature. So an example of how AI is biased while allocating resources is Amazon's same-day delivery. This service, like Amazon's same-day delivery, the service was bypassing zip codes which had large African American populations, which is totally unfair because that should be based on whether or not they have access to resources and not because of the population. Another thing is harms of representation, and this occurs when AI systems reinforce or exaggerate stereotypes. So that affects how certain groups are perceived along the lines of their identity, like race, class, or gender. An example of representational harm is Google image search, where studies have shown that image search results for certain professions like CEO have perpetuated gender and racial stereotypes. There's also an example of Google Gorilla, where Google Photos was labeling an African American woman as a gorilla. So these examples make it clear that there is some very significant representational harm and allocation harm. So, and these are like problems of algorithmic bias, that is the tendency for AI to amplify and extend bias throughout the forum. Okay. Are there any questions? The next thing we're going to learn about is intellectual property and copyright. So So this image just shows some places where Gen AI is being used, like some fields where it's being used, like research, speech, code, image generation, video generation, text generation. And you can see that it's being used in a lot of creative processes and industries. It basically pushes the boundaries of what is possible. So this is called the AI creator economy, which is the inclusion of AI. It uses LLMs and machine learning to generate new content and ideas. In today's world, as we know, content creators are like very influential. They can use Gen AI, they usually use Gen AI as a creative assistant, so specifically for generating new content ideas. From virtual influencers to content repurposing tools, AI is reshaping how creators produce, distribute, and monetize content. It's mostly meant to be a tool to increase efficiency in the creator economy. And this opens a lot of doors for innovation and creativity. It kind of differs from true human creativity because it actually just mimics behaviors and trends that it sees, and it tries to identify patterns. So it uses pattern recognition to push boundaries of human defined categorization with unique information integration. It's not necessarily meant to replace human creativity, it's meant to build on it and then guide it in the right direction. And AI is very individualistic, and you can cater it to your individual needs, which is why it's very cool and like it has so many diverse implications. So I'd also like to know how you guys use AI, Gen AI in your daily life, like in your personal life or in your schoolwork. And the next discussion question is, how have you used Gen AI in your life? Okay, I think we should wrap this up. We don't have much time. Is there anyone who wants to share how they use Gen AI?
So that's how I know that.
I'm so sorry.
Like that good.
I didn't even know it's way that rich, but
I
want to move on, have that on iOS.
With a lot of like calls with kids and stuff. Like it is like a
Just tell what I want to do to ChatGPT, and it generates the code that the whole project for me. That's so useful.
Yeah.
Without even knowing the language.
Very useful. Andy?
Yeah.
I think I should give it to you.
Anyone else? It's like the easiest question. Yeah.
ChatGPT for homework.
You can't be saying that here.
Not for our homework, I know.
You're technically Allen
Open
School
stickers.
employees, you can't be saying that here. You
No,
keep
no.
that, you keep that to yourself.
It's okay, guys. Also, first you tell them.
Yeah.
No, give him Reese's Pieces.
Oh, I see.
I've been here to assist you and others with tasks like learning new concepts or writing essays. Do you want to hear the whole response?
Anyone else?
Oh, no candy?
Oh, I didn't know it was your response.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like a year ago, I asked ChatGPT to write a song, and then I put it over like a really basic trap beat, and I posted it on YouTube.
Oh.
Pretty fine. It was just for the friends. It was unlisted. So I guess
Drop the
just
link in
for
like IT general.
we'll see about that. But just for silly goofy stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we should move on. Lack of time, but definitely come after class if you want to tell me more. Yeah, these are just some more benefits of generative AI. It can be used for content creation, music composition, like you said, writing essays, grant writing. Oh, that's an image that Stable Diffusion did for crab-inspired toy concepts. Very cute. Okay. Next thing we're going to talk about is GenAI mechanics. GenAI relies on human-created content, but sometimes it uses it without crediting it or compensating the original creators. And this process comes with legal risks like intellectual property infringement. That also includes content like New York Times articles, which are sometimes utilized without proper authorization. One example is a case filed in 2022, Anderson versus Stability AI, in which 3 artists formed a class to sue multiple GenAI platforms because they used their original works without license to train the AI in their styles. And then users could generate works in their styles, so this was considered unauthorized derivative versions of their art. And practices like these undermine creators' rights, so it's essential to respect the creator's intellectual property and properly credit them to foster an ethical AI ecosystem. Okay. The next thing is deepfakes. It's an AI image or a set of images or a video which is generated by deep learning. And even though it's kind of like Photoshop, but Photoshop and such other image altering things are designed for amusement, so they're mostly harmless. But deepfakes are potentially dangerous because the application of deep learning to make false image production creates a world where humans can't tell if that image or video is fake or real, which is very dangerous. So deepfake-based misinformation could heap havoc on the world if it's used for some wrong reasons. So we should just be more aware of fake images and videos, especially if they ask for money or personal information or make some weird claims. But yeah. Interestingly, AI could provide a solution for deepfakes because machine learning models are able to detect fake images on dimensions that the human eye can't tell. And some details are like the weak points of deepfake software. So like small aspects such as minute facial features or something, you can tell if it's a deepfake or if it's a real. This is an example of a deepfake. It's Tom Cruise, but it's not really Tom Cruise. So you can tell by like the facial features on the left side. Another example, I have a video of this is actually the Spider-Man No Way Home, which was Tom Holland, but it's a deepfake which shows Tobey Maguire instead. That's fine.
Is your laptop on?
Okay, you can see it like some places. Yeah, right there. You can see it. It looks like Tom Holland, but it's not Tom Holland. Anyway, the next thing is, how have you seen deepfakes used in your day-to-day life? Like, have you ever seen it? Heard of it? Okay, lack of time, so I'm just gonna get back. Does anyone want to share? Maybe like 2 people. Yeah.
Well, I know that AI to generate their advertisement.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true, but so many people start to talk about it, and that's why like it would decrease the fame of the Coca-Cola because of the AI generated advertisement.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a little dark, but I've heard several instances of like people getting bullied because people use deepfake technology to create like malicious imagery or video of them.
Okay. The next thing is a prominent case of Screen Actors Guild, SAG-AFTRA for short. So it's basically a union which represents voiceover artists, including those who might provide dubbing. And they were mainly concerned about the use of AI to create digital replicas of performers, or like copying actors' work and training AI systems based on their work without giving them proper credit or compensation. And this union has made several strikes. There was one that recently began in July 2024, following a breakdown in negotiations that had been going on for more than a year. And they came to an interim agreement which addressed several issues that were at the heart of the dispute, like wage improvements, AI protections, safety measures, and a tiered budget system. And recently they also announced that 80 video games have signed either interim or tiered budget system agreements with them. and I've linked the some information about recent developments if you want to read more about it. This is just the current status of what we can see in the industry or outside. It also includes SAG-AFTRA's new contract provisions where they reached agreements with video game companies, and it also secured control for actors over their digital replicas. So basically they get compensated for anything that might be based on their work or their voice acting. Yeah. And also a lot of celebrities have been targeted by deepfakes, like the Tom Hanks case, where a celebrity likeness were used in deepfake endorsements. Yeah, these are just some more examples. You can read about it later if you want to. And moving on.
Okay, now we're gonna go into more surveillance capitalism. Talk about that. Yeah, so what is surveillance capitalism? So surveillance capitalism is kind of like a form of capitalist accumulation that combines and commodifies personal data, specifically through digital platforms like Google, Facebook, Amazon. This is like when Google is collecting your your data, like what you're searching, or Facebook is keeping track of which ads you're interacting with, or things like that. And this just describes the process of like human experiences, like searching or ads or things like that, are converted into data for financial gain, which like leads to the creation of a market based on predicting and selling different behavioral trends based on groups of people. And then this approach aligns with like the traditional profit-driven capitalist ideals, but also introduces unique challenges in how this data is used and stored, and also privacy breaches. And it highlights the need for tailored regulations to address these issues. Yeah, so this is kind of examples from like a TED Talk on surveillance capitalism. So yeah, every online interaction from uploading videos on YouTube to Google searches can reveal like personal information about like what you like to do, and just information about yourself. And then these tech giants like Facebook and Google can collect these extensive data and stores it based on like your user activities, your habits, your preferences, what type of videos you want to watch, etc. And then they also have like integrated tracking systems in those apps and websites that continuously like collect and funnel user data back to these companies. And then even private browsing modes and like seemingly activities you think are like more safe or more secure are also still being tracked and analyzed for data collection. And then yeah, so the impact this has on like just like someone's own like right to privacy and like the democracy as a whole, it's just like extensive data collection kind of infringes on individual privacy rights and creates detailed user profiles. And then this can be used to manipulate consumer behavior, influencing purchasing decisions and personal preferences. Like for example, like if like Google or like if like Amazon wants to see you like you're interacting or you like a certain type of product, they'll keep flooding your like your For You page or like your recommended page with those things to like influence you to keep buying it. And then yeah, targeted advertising technologies can be repurposed to influence political opinions or sway election outcomes. And then like with the amount of misinformation online is like driven by personal data and can pose a significant threat to like the democratic process. Yeah, so here are some examples of data misuse in the world today. So just recently, actually, a couple weeks ago, one of the financial tech companies, Finistra, which serves like major global banks, had a breach where a hacker stole 400 gigabytes of data, which includes sensitive customer information about their clients. And they did this by infiltrating their secure file transfer platform. And then tying it back into politics, the storming of the US Capitol was linked to online conspiracy theories, which shows the real world impact of online data misuse. And then also the AT&T experienced 2 major data breaches earlier this year, in which call and text records and personal account details of millions of customers were compromised. Yeah, so here's a specific case about like the risks to consumers. So 87 million Facebook users' data was collected without consent by like a third-party service, Cambridge Analytica, for political advertising. This data was used to build psychological profiles for targeted political campaigns, which impacts the democratic process. And then this scandal exposed the extent of personal data exploitation by tech companies. And when this came out, like the CEO of Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, had to testify in front of the Senate. When I feel like a lot of people probably saw clips of that, of how he was explaining the product and explaining tech to some of these older congressmen and senators who didn't really understand exactly what was going on either. So this just overall kind of sparked a global debate on like privacy rights and data security. So here's a discussion question. In what ways do you think surveillance capitalism can benefit us? Yeah, so just turn and talk to someone and we'll come back in like a minute or two. Oh, okay. Okay, we can end it here and come back. Does anyone have any thoughts they'd like to share with everyone about what ways they think surveillance capitalism can benefit us? Anyone got an idea? Oh, you go ahead, Abel. Yeah, exactly. I feel like some consumers, they don't want to see things that are like, they don't want, like, that are irrelevant to like what they're looking for. So in that sense, it can help them like fast track their way to what they want to find. Any other ideas or thoughts? Okay, I feel like that was actually the big one. I'll just finish this last slide. This is like benefits for consumers that we talked about, that we were thinking of. Yeah, the enhanced user experience, like you mentioned, where companies like Google and Facebook can use data to tailor those user experiences. And then also free services, the revenue generated from personalized advertising can allow companies to offer internet services for free for like the wide scale. Okay, I think we're gonna end here. It's 5:55. So thank you everyone for coming out. Oh.
Also, who were the top three last time?
I don't think so.
Any top three last time?
No, I can't. I have to go back and I'm volunteering for like it's for 1 hour. Oh, sorry. Okay. See you guys next week. Yeah. I'm scared my biology test came out, like the grade. And I'm just avoiding it. I'm just like not checking. change your piece. Although I'm sure you did great. You don't want to check. Because it, like, it kind of determines if I get to do it exam. After
Okay, everybody, we'd prefer if you guys stay to check how much you guys absorb the content. So open up Kahoot on your guys' computers. If you guys want to.
I was just looking at it. I'm not like.
First place winners, after questions, we'll get candy. Yep. Nope. Nope, packing up your stuff, guys.
Close the door. You're stuck in here.
Stuck in here. Until the end.
What else are you saying?
I'm just stuck
The
here.
next presentation, I'll give the next one on my control, so I'll just let them know.
Anyone still joining?
Everyone in the Kahoot? Okay. Anyone, raise your hands if you're not in the Kahoot and you want to join. Or if you're just not in the Kahoot, because then you would obviously like. Okay, yeah. Let's start it. 19 people, not too shy. Oh, I know this. Easy, guys. There was a whole slide on this, man. They talked about it for I better not see anybody missing this question. Okay. Yeah. Mary, okay. Who's on the top of the leaderboard? You just have to like see who else is. Who's Darian?
Who's Darian? Do you want candy?
So everybody has multiple options to use candy. A deepfake is a fraudulent piece of content, yes or no? Or true or false? You look very confused. Request.
Unless you get something wrong. Oh, it's still recording.
Oh, who's Ian? Yay!
Needs to be.
Oh, you get a push. You get two. Oh, I gotta keep track. Okay.
And we'll continue with Super Capitalism lesson.
Darian, do you first on the leaderboard? Another candy? Yeah, Darian's true or false. True or false? AI does not have any underlying biases.
Oh, a great question.
Yes.
We can debate on this.
Darian's still on top?
Nah, it's not off, you got it. Someone else got it.
You pass it to someone else. Oh, okay, wait. Who's Naomi? Yeah, you can hear today.
Alright.
Thank you.
Okay, last one.
I do have She's a little news one. I look good. I miss them.
Oh, the end.
That's it.
The end.
Wait, who's MJ? Raise your hands if you're MJ. Okay. MJ, do you have Reese's? Okay.
That was not bad.
That was not too bad.
Who's in the lead? Gonna be
Oh! Who's this kid?
new mystery person. I did it.
Yeah, about the energy consumption of AI. The AI, like generative AI energy consumption. We'll talk about